us the way.
Good morning, and happy Saturday. You heard the music. It gives you time to get your coffee and join us. My name is Kimberly Holmes Ross, Evanston Cradle to Career, and I'm here today with Advocates for Action grantee Abigail Stone. We have been here and we will be here all summer with the Advocates for Action grantees. So these are folks who received community building grants over the past 2 years. Abigail is the author of the curriculum Get Up, Girls Empowered to Thrive Under Pressure. I love that. I love that. So we're going to just get right into it. It's Saturday morning. We do want to warn you that we have sensitive subject matter this morning. We'll be talking about domestic violence for over the next 3 weeks. We'll be talking about domestic violence. We'll be talking about bullying. We'll be talking about emotional and verbal abuse. We'll be talking about rape. So we want to let you know if you're triggered or if you're feeling anxious, we will be putting some hotline numbers in the chat. If you know somebody or are somebody who's experiencing these things, please reach out. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, Abigail, and we're going to get going.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I'm so thankful to be here with this opportunity to share, and I am going to start with what is called a grounding exercise. And some will call it a coping exercise. And that is because when you're experiencing anxiety, or for example, when you hear this story, it may trigger you, it may make you connect with some memories of some trauma, or it just may make you feel so sad and overwhelmed. Although I will try to keep it innocuous, yet powerful. So I don't have to share every gruesome detail, but it's not a pretty story. And so I'm going to try to share my screen here so that you can see what how this grounding exercise will work. Okay. This is my first time sharing the screen, y'all.
Oh, well, hey, you got it.
Okay, good. Okay. So, this will help you to stay in the present moment. You're not in my story. This is not what possibly happened to you. This is not some sad incident. We are in the moment, and I'm sharing my story so that you can be empowered, enlightened. Maybe some healing will come from this. But there's a technique. It's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I know this is a little blurry, but it entails focusing on 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, and 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Now, if you're on a diet, you don't have to taste anything. Just wiggle your tongue. We're not trying to add calories. We're just trying to stay in the moment. So, what I want you to do, so these are the sight, the touch, the hearing, the nose, smelling, and the taste. What I want you to do for the sake of time is to just breathe in deeply and touch something so that you can focus on what you feel in the present moment. Press your fingers into it if you have to. Touch something and remind your body where you are at. You are where you are at right now, in front of your computer or holding your phone. Touch something in your present moment and focus on that. That is how this grounding works. If you look around and you see something, and focus on that to remember where you are. And hopefully that will help you to stay in the moment. These are the things that I'm going to share with the short time that we have. Unfortunately, I have quite a few stories of abuse, but with the time that permits, I will be sharing. Domestic violence kills, whether it's in body or spirit, eventually. And I'm very thankful that I got out before it got me. It is in gratitude for my life being spared that I share my story to the end that someone else's life might be saved. So I had two major incidents of physical abuse where I was involved with a music producer. We actually made beautiful music together in that there was a song that came out of it that almost got me a record deal. And it was a inspirational song just to let you know that um, everyone that is abusive does not actually seem like a monster or a bad guy. And oftentimes um, there are red flags, yes, eventually, but love or liking a person, admiration, etc., can blind you to these things. And oftentimes, an abuser can be that very smooth, very loving. They have mastered the art of manipulation. So I thought he was the greatest guy. I had made a vow when I was young, because I've been singing since I was 6, that I was not going to be involved with anyone that I did music with. I was like, nope, I'm not going to do that. But he was so amazing. We spent so much time together, and then we eventually got involved. And I look back and I was like, well, what were the red flags that I missed? And I just remember one day we were working in the studio, and I was singing my heart out and enjoying the moment. I just love studio work. And he didn't like something that I did with some note I hit or something. He didn't like it. And he rose up from behind the board. Like he slammed his fist on the table, and he rose up from behind the board, and he was like, you better sing that how I told you to sing it. And I thought, whoa, like, for a moment. But because of the admiration I have for him, because of all the good memories, I just thought, I just wrote it off. I just thought he was having a angry moment or something, or he was intense because he was passionate about his music. So I wrote it off. But in that moment, for a split second, I felt like anime from the music, from the song, I mean, from the movie. What's love got to do with it? I thought I was Anime Bullock for a minute, and I wondered if he was gonna hurt me for a minute, but it was easily written off. Well, not only did he hurt me in the not so distant future after that, but he tried to kidnap my children. He almost ran me over with my own van. He forced his way into my home, and he um cut me. He cut me on my arms and stomach, and he tried to slit my throat. And really, it's only by way of miracles and divine intervention. It's a long story. It was the longest night of my life. But eventually, me and my children, he held us hostage from about 11 p.m. until dawn in my place while he tortured me, and I fought him over and over and over to get me and my children out. And eventually, I overcame him, and we were able to get out. But it was a very long night. And when I arrived in the hospital, this was what I looked like. I wasn't fully aware that I looked like this in that moment, but that's how I arrived into the emergency room. And they asked me what happened to me, and I said I ran into a door. I was slammed with the door, and that's how I got actually part of that is a hole in my forehead. And I'm gonna move from this picture. I don't need to continue to subject you all to the picture that I call the face of violence. But this is what violence looked like when it happened to me years ago. Um, so I departed from that picture, but I'm thankful I didn't depart from this life. But I want to focus on that denial for a moment because there is so much victim blaming in this society, and because of so much shame that comes upon the victim. I didn't sign up to be in an abusive relationship. I thought he was a very wonderful guy and he was very good to me while he was good to me. But I I felt ashamed that that happened to me, so that I wasn't even ready to explain to the staff that was there to help me what really happened. So the past 2 weekends, I've had some experiences witnessing um, women that were involved in domestic assault situations in public. And I thought, out of all the million people in Chicago that could have passed by here, like, why did I end up like here at this time? But there was something that I needed to see again. And I have taken training since I experienced domestic violence. I'm a certified domestic violence victim advocate to the point where I am equipped to help someone in that situation. Now, I also want to caution people on trying to be someone's hero because you also have to maintain your safety. But I don't ever want to be a bystander. I'm an upstanding type person. And so when I encountered this woman on McCormick and Howard, in the middle of a domestic dispute, she jumped out of her SUV topless. He had, or somehow in the struggle, her top part of her clothing had been ripped off and she was barefoot. And they continued to have a conflict in the middle of the street. And of course, that's not safe. I pulled over. I tried to call 911 to get assistance. And when the man jumped in the car and stole her vehicle. After they had struggled, he took her phone. It was bad. And when she ran my direction screaming, "Hey, give me my vehicle, give me my vehicle," she wasn't even in the headspace to realize I was trying to help. I was like, "I've got 911 on the phone. Please give me the license plate. Please let me help you. What's your name?" Etc. And she said, "I just want to get back to my children." She, when the police did arrive, because I insisted, she still wasn't cooperative with the police, which is actually very, very common when it comes to these abuse situations of not being cooperative. And I myself wasn't cooperative with the police. They were finally able to help her, but there was a lot of interrogation of her. It was kind of heartbreaking that she was there barefoot on the gravel. She did pull her clothing up, and when she did, that's when I was able to see she had blood all over her clothing, and she had a hole in her head like I did as well. And so I've said all that to say that abuse can occur in any uh, location. People think it doesn't happen in affluent neighborhoods. People think it doesn't happen to educated people or intelligent people. There are so many myths involving domestic violence that I actually don't have the time to go into all of them. But right here in our backyard, yes, a woman was experiencing abuse, and she was a mother, and she had things taken from her, which is also a common part of the abuse, because abuse is really about control. And to maintain the power and control, things are taken away, things are held back, there's restraints. Everything about abuse is actually not the physical part. That is actually one small aspect. But unfortunately, that's what people mostly identify as abuse. So I have a definition here. Domestic abuse, also called domestic violence or intimate partner violence, can be defined as a pattern of behavior um, in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. Abuse is physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological actions or threats of actions that influence another person. This includes any behaviors that frighten, intimidate, terrorize, manipulate, humiliate, blame, injure, or wound someone. You see, that list is long, and it doesn't start when someone hits you. Domestic abuse can happen to anyone of any race, age, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. It can occur within a range of relationships, including couples who are married, living together, or dating. Domestic violence affects people of all socioeconomic backgrounds and education levels. Keep that in mind. Don't be fooled that this only happens to insecure women or women that look a certain way. People have all of these myths and ideas in their mind, but it's not true. It can happen to anyone. And I want to.
Before you go onto your checklist, and I want to first thank you for being brave enough to share your story, um, because of course sharing is caring, and when you share, you can help someone else. So we really appreciate you coming on and being so vulnerable today and sharing with our audience. Tamika Singleton says she's so glad you survived your abuse. And I have Miss Wetlow watching with us. Suliona is watching with us, and Miss Betty's watching with us. So thank you guys for watching with us. Please share this video. This is important stuff. This is important stuff.
Yeah.
Every hour, every minute, someone is suffering from abuse. And if we can learn to be upstanders, which you're going to try to learn over these next 3 weeks, we can literally help somebody. So I want you to go ahead to your emotional abuse checklist.
Okay. I did at a community college. I did a forum on domestic violence, and this list actually helped a beautiful young woman to know that she was being abused, because when her boyfriend started doing certain things to her that made her feel uncomfortable, she went to her aunt because she knew her aunt had experienced domestic violence. Her aunt told her, "Child, he ain't hitting you. You just better sit down and be quiet. You have a good man, and he ain't hitting you." I want you to know that I have my nose was fractured. I've experienced a black eye. As you see, I had the hole in my head. I've experienced physical violence, and all of it wasn't exactly visible as that picture, but the emotional scars have taken therapy, have taken years to overcome. So those emotional scars of being emotionally abused can affect you long after it would take a black eye to heal. You can take makeup, honey, and cover up your black eye, but it is killing your spirit when you're emotionally abused. I know that my time is short and I have so much I want to share with you all, but if you can look over this list, does he threaten to harm himself if you leave him? Does he go through your purse or open your mail, violate your privacy? Does he use things against you that you've confided in him? Does he manipulate you with kindness and gifts? If you saw that movie, What's Love Got to Do with It? You see, after he did horrible, unspeakable things to the woman he claimed to love, he brought her flowers. There's what they call the honeymoon stage, where after the abuse, then there's flowers, there's apologies, there's so much sweetness, and I have to address this issue. Just because you're married, that doesn't mean that you are obligated to be your spouse's sex object, to be forced into sex when you may not feel well, when you may not feel like it. You have a right to say no. It's actually called spousal rape if you are forced to engage in sexual acts with your partner. Love is not violence. It's not control. And I know someone whose spirit was so broken by experiencing that with her spouse. So even if you're married or you're not married, you're if Does he force you to feel obligated to give him sex, to be involved with him? Is he bossing you around? Is he controlling you? Look at this list. If you have two or more of these situations going on from this list, then you are likely experiencing emotional abuse. And you can reach out to the numbers that have been posted to get help because it is damaging. Okay, so there was what was called a wheel of abuse that has been updated because um, people have professionals have argued that if you're going through a honeymoon stage, because it used to say that okay, you would there will be abuse, and then there will be the honeymoon stage, and then tension would build again, and then there will be abuse again. So you're like in a cycle. Well, professionals have argued that if you're in the honeymoon stage, you are still being abused because being manipulated by gifts and presents, like that's okay when a person is killing your spirit or killing your body by, using you as a punching bag, it's still abuse. So there isn't like a relief from that exactly because you're still being abused because manipulation is a part of emotional abuse. So these are different things that are part of being abused. Like if your partner because I also want to point out this happens in relationships that are not heterosexual. It's not always the man who is the abuser, and that is also one of the myths that we have to dispel. This can happen between all kinds of relationships. There are even people getting abused at their job, but preventing you from getting or keeping a job, like he's calling your job or she and harassing you and trying to tell lies on you to your employer, taking your money, leaving you out there without money. So this is all you see in the middle of this wheel. It is all about power and control. This is not just about a person who can't control their temper or something like that. All of these things are done to intimidate the victim so that they are controllable. So if you look at where it says using intimidation, yes, they're trying to make you afraid by smashing things, destroying things. Sometimes, like we said, it's not physical. It can be a look, like they're gonna hurt you, or rushing up on you, or jumping in your face, and being put down. How many times have people been in relationships where the person is putting them down, making them feel like nobody else is going to want you? That's breaking your spirit. And those are inflicting wounds upon your mind, upon your soul. It's deeper than black eyes that you can cover up. When you're being called names or being gaslighted to make you think that you're crazy. If you don't know what gaslighting is, please look it up because the time to end is coming quickly upon me. But if someone's humiliating you, that's not love. That's about power and control. I need you to understand that the emotional abuse, the verbal abuse, the other forms of abuse where they're taking control of your money, where they're using the children against you, etc. These actually are a precursor to physical violence. So no, it's not okay to stay in abuse and say, "Oh, he's not hitting me." Like the auntie told that beautiful young lady. I'm so thankful she saw the checklist and she got out of that relationship. And you know what? One thing I must stress is very important. The most dangerous time for a victim of a domestic violence is when they try to leave. So he had not physically hurt her, but he had escalated to physically restraining her. But when she tried to leave that relationship, that he went berserk. He hurt that girl. But because she had the resources that I gave her, she knew to go get a restraining order. She knew to press charges and stay on it. She knew the phone calls that she could make. She got into counseling. The statistics show that it takes 7 times of leaving for the average victim to actually get rid of that relationship for good. But because she had the tools, this young lady, she was out. And next you know, she was like, I'm in counseling. I'm away from him. I've got the restraining order. And this is why I share my story and I make myself vulnerable. Because just maybe if you have the tools and you listen to this and become enlightened, then you can get out and it won't take 7 times, because it's not guaranteed that you will make it. On both sides of my family, people were murdered. There's an auntie I never got to meet because she was murdered by her partner through domestic violence. On my daddy's side of the family, there was a whole branch cut off in a murder-suicide. They said at that time it was the biggest massacre in that southern town that had happened. And the only one survived was my little cousin because she was being washed in the sink. He came in there, took out the mother, the father, the grandmother, the brothers, the sisters, and then he killed himself. So I have to point out that no, don't announce you're leaving. Don't try to get him to change. You need to get out if you're being abused. And the day is today. You need to call the number. I don't tell anyone to do anything that I didn't do. I call that number myself. And the number one cause of homelessness, unfortunately, is fleeing domestic violence for women and children. But there are shelters that you can go to. And look at me now. I wasn't ashamed to show that picture because I'm thriving, because I went to a shelter and I was helped by Connections for the Homeless in Evanston. And I not only went from being their client, now I'm on their board of directors, and I fight for more affordable housing for women and children. And I thank you all for listening. And make sure, if you need this help, that you call this number. Thank you.
No, Abigail, thank you. And that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and that's 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-SAFE. Abigail, I'm at a loss for words. I appreciate you so much. You have just touched my heart this morning. And I, for one, I just completely love you, and I'm so glad, as Tamika said, that you have survived this violence and that you have now are paying it forward in hopes to help someone else. So we will be taking a deeper dive for the next couple of weeks. Please join us. If you know someone who should join us, please invite them to join us. Please share this video on your page, and so in hopes that people can see it. And like Abigail said, today, let today be the day, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised. So we will be here next Saturday at 10 o'clock with Abigail Stone, the author of the curriculum Get Up, Girls Empowered to Thrive Under Pressure. We heard a little bit why she was inspired to write it, so we'll hear some more next week. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Radio La Difference. Everyone go out and have a wonderful Saturday. Stay tuned for our vaccine equity ad that's going to come on right after we do. Today is Vaccine Equity Day at Fleetwood. I'm leaving here, going right over to Fleetwood. If you need a vaccine or know someone who needs one, send them there. They can walk in. You guys have a great day. Thanks, Abigail.
I have children, small kids at that, and my grandfather, my mother, my family.
I work in restaurants. I felt like not only around my coworkers and keeping customers safe, I felt that was important.
To keep myself healthy and also part of a larger Evanston community, and to keep my friends, family, and neighbors safe.
I serve in a capacity in a company that specializes in early childhood and early Head Start, and a lot of the children around educators. So I am taking this shot for them.
I am a part-time caretaker of my 84-year-old mother, who is obviously in the category of most vulnerable. And I also have younger children. Also have a wife that I care deeply about.
I want to keep everyone safe, as well as myself.
Not only myself, but my family, my wife,
my children, and my congregation.
I thought it would be a good opportunity to keep others safe as well as my family.
In order to be safe and to maintain safety for the people I care about, I needed to get the shot.
I think it's important for all of us to kind of take care of each other as well as ourselves.
It's important to our community, it's important to our family, it's important to the world.
To do my part for us to get past this pandemic as a community.
I was skeptical about it at first. Yes, I was one of the ones that created this as a joke when this first came out. But then I started to see family, friends, people that I knew pass away from this horrible, horrible disease. Please, it is something real. Get it done.
It's important for people that are Black and brown to understand the importance of being vaccinated. It's important for you to know that being vaccinated means that you're showing your care and your love for your family members because you interface with them on such a regular basis, your neighbors, and of course, everybody else in the community. As a pastor of a church, I'm very excited about that because it also means that we will be able to reopen our doors for in-person worship.
I want to be a part of the solution to make sure that we are able to get back to a place where we can all come together and share and love on one another.
You're showing us the way.
Listening to Evanston Cradle to Career Advocates for Action on Radio La Difference. Please tune in next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another show. Please stay tuned for Saturday Morning Jam until 12 noon. Thanks.
You're showing us the way.